is with us. Mr. Agarwal, Executive Director at the company, is now with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you just talk to us about the quarter, and especially, when we just look at your EBITDA, your sales growth has been pretty good with a double-digit number, but the EBITDA has actually suffered in terms of an absolute growth as well as margins. Is it the commodity, availability of commodity, which is triggering this extra cost?
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes, I think on the revenue front, we've been able to do a good job looking at the overall scenario by a 33% growth. But the increasing input cost, commodity cost throughout the year, and which well carried out into quarter 4 as well, that has definitely affected us on the margin front. And on a whole year basis, I think we've lost about 30, 40, 50 basis points with respect to our EBITDA margin. Yes, the difference seems to be slightly more as compared to on a yearly on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Because we had an exceptional Q4 last year. Although the commodity prices were increasing, they were still in control same time last year. But this year it was havoc, and it continued well into April.
Mr. Agarwal, that point is taken, but when do you see the margins, coming back to those earlier levels? We saw a dip of over 200 basis points this quarter as well. Now with the commodity prices, which are expected to come off on account of the excise duty rejig also, do you expect margins to bounce back in Q1 itself, or will it take a bit more time?
I think if not Q1, definitely by Q2, because steel prices have started cooling off in the last 15-20 days, and with these actions of export duty being implemented by the government, I'm sure that there'll be a further reduction of about 10 to 50% steel prices, which is our primary input material. So I'm very hopeful that within this year, starting from maybe quarter 2 onward, we should be looking at margin expansion, and on a quarterly basis should be able to do it by about 1 or 2%. And if you look at the whole year basis, last year we were at about 11%, and the year which has just finished, we are about 10.3% EBITDA level. So I think that gap can easily be filled up, and we should be exceeding what we have done in the past, hopefully in this year.
Last time around when we had spoken, you had said that your sales growth outlook is about 15 to 20% for this year. Your margin outlook is 10.5 to 11. What will be that for FY23? Plus, you have done an interesting fundraising. And how would that change the outlook for the following year?
Again, in this year, looking at the overall scenario and the global macro, everything, I think being a little conservative, I would still peg it at about 15 to 20%. Definitely the EBITDA levels, the margins can be slightly higher than this if steel prices and input commodity, all other commodities, reduce further, and so that can take us beyond 11% at EBITDA levels.
Okay, so margins to come back to 11% levels, but I was just checking a presentation wherein the working capital days have jumped up to 52, and this is versus 40 days that were there in FY21. Are you facing some sort of delays there, and is that expected to come down going forward?
Not really. These 59 days, what you're seeing is more to do on a whole year basis. But if you look at the working capital for the last quarter, that is at 38 days. We also have to remember that within this year, we faced 2 big COVID waves, especially the first one, which was deadlier last year. And also there was transition from, into the BS4 regime for construction equipment. So that did lead to some, extra inventories here and there, and the cost for that. But in the last quarter, we've been able to normalize it. And for the last quarter, our working capital is again at 38 days.
Right. When we just talk about the uptick as far as cap goods is concerned, construction is concerned, can you just tell us that, what's happening as far as the overall space is concerned? Every company, whether it's EPC, whether it's construction that we're talking, is talking about a good 20% growth despite the price hikes, despite the raw material scarcity issue.
See, our current government is very much focused on improving and further developing the infrastructure of the country. And that was also evident from the last budget, wherein they increase their inflows towards capex and especially infrastructure. So looking at that, all that, I don't see any reason that in the medium term to long term that the growth would not be there. And but talking of the industry as specific, we have been able to beat the trend in our industry. Most of the construction equipment players in the last year, as a matter of fact, the construction equipment market degrew by about 7-8% in the last year on number basis. And we were still able to increase our numbers. So that bodes very well for us, coupled with the government's focus on infrastructure. And not only infrastructure. See, about 30-40% of our machines directly and indirectly also go into manufacturing. Pick and carry cranes and the forklifts. So there again, we've been seeing a lot of traction, and with so much manufacturing to happen in India, and with the PLI scheme coming in, and the China Plus One strategy, which everybody has been talking about in the last 1 or 2 years. So I think all of that is going to bode well, and doing a 15-20% should be easy. It can only be more.
Fair enough, Mr. Agarwal. We'll let you go on that note. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with ET Now today.